That was an abrupt ending to the music. I tried to fade it out, and it didn't fade. It just went dead. And it's Steven. So welcome to Old Gray Bricks.
I forgot you guys had intro music.
Yeah, we do our little intro thing. And Ethan should be showing up in a moment. I sent him an invite. So Old Gray Bricks, Thursday Night Live. We are talking about Lego Masters this evening. We have a Lego Master here, and we have a contestant, Mr. Ethan Brick Artisan, should be on his way. Hopefully, I sent him an invite. Chris could not make it this evening. He had something come up, and I believe our good Matthew is also unavailable because he's swamped with grading papers or something. Is that that whole?
I think he just ran out of steam. Is what wound up happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's been
trained.
He's been busy with being a professor and all that good stuff.
Doctor.
Hey, Fleepnork. I think Chris is going to email you Greg's information. He's also from season 3, and if you want to invite him to the SteamYard, he's ready to go now. So I don't know if Chris has sent that info. I don't have your contact, but that should be on the way.
Mr.
There's if you look over to the side of the screen, there's a private chat. If you want to type it in there.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
And an invite straight away.
Just copy this real quick. Here.
You got the email from him for the StreamYard chat, so you actually do have his email.
That's the other thing I was going to say.
That's right. I could just
you could.
Now we know why he's a Lego master.
Yeah, not a technician, computer technician. Here we go. Let's see. Let's see.
Email master. That's the other less popular show.
The less popular show.
Yeah, that'll catch on. Email master. There it is. All right, cool.
So it looks. Mayor's in the chat. Natalie thinks Matthew teaches at Hogwarts.
I haven't seen any evidence that says he doesn't. So
The funny thing is, Matthew is completely does not care at all about Harry Potter or anything. It is not on his radar whatsoever. So, did you get that forwarded, Stephen? You all good on that?
Just let me get this link here. Hopefully this works. Hopefully I'm doing this right. All right, that's to Greg, and that should work.
Cool. So, I'm trying to decide which. Maybe is anybody doing anything cool? We'll do it we'll do some idle chat for a minute before we launch into our discussion. I got the Lotus, the little the Lotus, because the Street Champions. A few of these are on sale on Amazon. Some of these guys. It was like $16 on Amazon, so I picked that up this week. It fell into my cart while I was buying other items.
These things happen.
Yep.
As you noted in the pre-show, I have added a red to the blue.
Looks so good.
So get the red, the blue, the white's up there, the orange is there.
Red's not level at all.
That may be because, well, actually, I think he's not level. I'll have to fix him. And then I'm currently working on.
Ooh.
Awesome. Space.
So I'm waiting on one last. What's that?
Are you going to display these at a show or anything? That'd be a cool thing to take.
I don't know though, because it's going to be 6 high, so it'll always be 2 that you can't see. So I don't know which 2 are going to go at the top that you won't see in the stream. But it was always envisioned that when the set came out originally and they had the white one, I was like, oh, I really want to make, a block of 4 to be kind of that Andy Warhol type look of having 4 pictures. And then I was like, I want 6 now because I was able to make 6 colors that look halfway decent. So I'm doing the 6. But now I was like, well, if I took them to show, it's like, well, one of them's an official set. I don't, and all of the rest of them are just recolors. I don't know if it's worth taking them to a show.
It is.
I don't know. You think so?
I wanted to welcome Greg. Greg, welcome.
Hi.
To the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Stephen got that invite sent, and then I just realized that you had popped in while we were yakking.
Yeah, no worries.
So welcome. We're hoping that while we were chatting that maybe Ethan would drop in because he said he was going to make it, but
They always start late. They always join in late. Remember, like 3 seasons or 3 episodes from now.
Those TikTok kids, they don't know anything about being on time for anything.
Yeah.
Work ethic is just shoddy. Just saying.
Hey,
Greg,
they
what's
couldn't be on
the-
time for the first 3 episodes of Lego Masters, so
Oh, it goes sometimes.
What room are you in right now? Are you like in a closet?
I'm in prison, but they
I
do
just-
let me have a webcam, so
I see.
Yeah, those TikTok kids are always late. I'm telling you.
Hey,
no, it's my basement, Adam.
I was gonna say that definitely looks like a sewage drainage pipe.
I think it
I was
is.
not
you know,
mistaken.
it's, yeah. You know, it's good seal though, so I don't smell it.
That's always good. I'm glad that you appreciate the potty humor that we're gonna have here this evening. So that's
no worries.
They'd get crappy in here, I tell you.
It can get crappy from time to time.
All right. So I think that probably we should start with the important information, and that is the Canadian content of the show. Episode. We're going to talk about the most important thing first. Jeff, tell us what's happening.
We are tracking how many Canadians are still on the show, how many Americans, and how many Mexican Americans. And unfortunately, well, can we say it already? I guess we can say it.
Yeah.
We lost our Mexican American team this week, but 33% of the show is Canadian. So, and that doesn't include Will Arnett, for the record. So and I know Jamie Berard is American, but Amy kind of ties it up between them. So
Yeah.
we're doing well in the Canadian sector. And we had a Canadian win, of course, as well. So, Nick's
what,
actually
second?
in my blood.
That's second Canadian win, third Canadian top 2.
Yeah.
So it's a good week for Canada.
It is. It is, for sure.
Very good. All right, you may wave your flag, sir. You may celebrate. Tiny flag. That's great.
I need to mount this somewhere.
Yay! You may wave your flag.
Very good. All right. So, how the rest of you guys doing? What's happening? Don't all talk at once.
I'm doing great.
I'm trying to let others talk.
And how are you feeling now that finally your episode has aired?
It's crazy.
Did your TikTok followers go up this week again?
A little bit, yes,
Just
it
a teeny
did.
bit. Are you still ahead of Dom?
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's really that's all important, right?
He's way ahead of Dom.
By like a million.
Wow.
Humble brag.
Humble brag.
Yeah, I had like 0 sleep last night, so I'm like on no filters.
It's all good.
Excellent.
We don't on this show we don't have many filters as it is. So
No. Well, and especially when Chris is missing. So then the filters are even less so.
I think we lost Adam. He's having some connection issues. Hopefully he will rejoin us in a minute. Greg, nice to see you. It's your first time on Old Gray Bricks.
It is.
Why don't you
For having me.
give us the little blurb about yourself so that all of our viewers get an introduce yourself, all that good stuff.
Sure. So I have been involved with Lego ever since I was probably 6 and my parents let me start playing with it. I actually never really had a Dark Ages because I started doing stop motion animation primarily with Lego, much like Adam, when I was 14. And then I just haven't really stopped doing that since then. So I've always been both a part of the AFOL community. So I'm sort of a bad AFOL because I'm not very consistently a part of the AFOL community, and I'm also a bad brick filmer because I'm not a very good part of the brick film community, but I sit in like this weird gray space between the two of them and just like pop in and out and drop projects sometimes and then go away and then like randomly show up at things, and people wonder if it's me or like some ethereal version of me that I just send out for particular tasks. But I do a lot of stop motion animation, and I build Lego for fun, and obviously competing in season 3 of Lego Masters. So,
and doing well, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we haven't even got any top 2 spots. We're solidly middle of the pack.
I'm just waiting, y'all. Like, what happened? Like, y'all haven't been in the top.
Okay, Ethan.
Well, so we have a theory on this, and you are by no means. Well, actually, I think as Stephen would probably say, you are not allowed to make any facial reactions during my comments. But we have an ongoing theory that during the first half of the season, and this has been kind of consistent the first 2 seasons, that the people who make it further into the show get less screen time unless there's drama during the first 5 or 6 episodes, because that way the people who are going home get a little more screen time before they depart, and that therefore that's why we haven't gotten to see much of you guys so far. That's our theory. And you are doing a very excellent straight face through that entire bit, by the way.
or Brendan and I are just terrible on TV, and there's no drama to show.
You are complete. I mean, you guys are pretty much. The camera is. You don't do well with the camera. We can already tell that.
I will have you know, I actually do pretty well on camera, all right? But I wasn't there to be on camera. I was there to compete. So
yeah.
Lego.
It's like me and Dom. We're here to win this thing.
Yeah. I've actually done film acting in my past, so I'm no stranger to camera, but that wasn't my purpose in being there, you know what I mean? So I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, you can be as TV interesting as you want, but that's not what keeps you in this competition. So
it's what gets you on the show.
100%.
Yeah, it does.
And more than one contestant was like, dang, you guys were so much more interesting in like interviews and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, I wasn't competing then.
That'll happen.
In the zone, more focused and intense. Yeah.
Which I gotta ask. I mean, and I know Stephen, we talked about you guys on this in the past, but as far as with Ethan and Greg, do you find not so much when Amy and Jamie come over, but when Will comes over and starts messing with you guys, does it throw you off if you're in the zone for building?
I just kept building. It's like,
Yeah, I think that other than one time when Will like broke character at our table, no, yeah, I would agree with Ethan. I mostly just like I definitely get in the zone and I just kind of like start
just tune him out,
ignoring everything else that's happening. Like I don't care about cameras, I don't care about sound. They have to producers would have to keep coming by and being like, Greg, stop humming. You're clogging up your whole audio feed. And the director can't hear anyone else either. I'm sorry, guys. And then they'd be like,
so you're a hummer, is what you're saying.
I am, yeah. When I'm very focused, I'll do that, or I'll like whistle sometimes. I think it's a condition with stop motion animators. You just get so used to being by yourself in, dark basements. The walls start to close in, so you want to hear a human voice, and yours is the only one around. So you just get used to talking to you. So yeah, there's one time though. Will came over to our table. This was pretty funny, and he's doing like his bit at first, and then yes, that's how I survived solitary. I mean, allegedly. So he came over to our table, and then he stops doing his bit, and he literally just leans in. He's like, "Okay, I want to know seriously. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. How do you guys get from what we present as a challenge, or like what the judges present as a challenge, to your final product in this period of time? Like seriously, he's like, I've been doing the show for 3 seasons, okay? Like, I've seen plenty of people do this. I want to know how you get there from like this crazy idea. Oh, make a character that's supposed to ride on a bull. Yeah, that's what Lego's intended for. And then, to like whatever your final product is. And so we like legitimately we had a few minutes, and it was funny. You could tell it was legit because the producers and stuff were like,
We can't
what
use
is he doing right now? Like he was just off leash, you know what I mean? And then afterwards, when we were in an interview, one of the producers was like, so that was weird. I was like, I thought it was great. I was just having like a legitimate conversation with Will Arnett that had nothing to do with TV, you know?
That sounds really refreshing because we didn't
was.
get that opportunity with Will. For us, it was kind of awkward. Like whenever Will came up, we're like, what do we do? What do we talk to? What do we say? They're like, Will's coming up in 10 minutes. Say something fun. Go. It's like, okay. We'll say something. We had never met any sort of A-list or B-list celebrity ever. And it was definitely jarring. But it was nice. Like, I could talk to him a little bit. I would like, my mind's going crazy. Like, what do I say? But it's nice to kind of take a very short mental break from the building just for a second and just sort of like reevaluate. And when you get back to it, you're like, okay, I forgot about this. Let me do this. And you just get back into it.
Which is
Amy and Jamie.
That's a whole different philosophy of sometimes you got to step away.
Just for a second. And it really does refresh your head and you can keep going. Amy and Jamie, though, I actually had a lot more fun with them. They're not as in your face, Will Arnett-ness. You know, they're very quiet and they're very, you know, they really know their stuff.
Jamie's so outspoken and very extroverted, so I'm surprised with that whole interaction.
Is he extroverted? Maybe.
Oh no, I'm sarcasm is lost on you boys from Noonan.
He's a churchy mouse. He barely says a thing. He's a quiet little fella, and he wouldn't hurt a fly. And him and his little spiky gray salt and pepper hair. He'll come up and he'll like ask really smart. He'll probe. He'll ask really smart questions and stuff like that. And Amy was maybe a little more intimidating, being 6'3", and you know she wants more color now, more color. And she'll push for that, but
so much energy.
I had more fun. I remember that too, yeah. But yeah, Amy and Jamie was easier. We'll just say that.
I wonder if anybody has ever had Will Arnett come up to them, or Amy or Jamie for that matter, and just say "not now" and like don't want to talk to you.
People in our season did it.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
There was legitimately a couple times that people were like, "Yeah, I'm not talking to you right now." Like, and there was actually a couple times people did that to producers too.
would those people have been from like the Upper East Coast by chance?
Actually, more north than that.
Oh, even further north than that. Okay. Interesting. That's funny.
Yep.
Are you suggesting that Canadians were standoffish?
We say sorry afterwards.
Well, I will suggest that there was a couple of occasions where at least one particular Canadian team was not feeling the maple syrup, if you know what I mean. And so they needed a little space to breathe.
Hey.
I'm not going to lie. I did that on set, too. I did that. It was during the castle competition, I think. No, the haunted house one.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the producers. It wasn't the judges. The producers came up, started asking you questions, which never get put to screen, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Asking at the worst time. We were both really stressed out, tired. I'm like, are we done? Are we good? Can we wrap it up? Okay, good. Bye. And I just get building. So I did that. I did that too. It was very brief, but that happened.
Or nothing to see here.
In the spirit of moving things along, we're gonna put Ethan on the spot and just start with this.
Oh, of course it builds.
Oh no.
Yeah, we'll walk through the builds and you know, share our thoughts. So is that like a flying Ethan over there on
yes. I don't know. They're just 4 main characters, and I guess if you wanted to, you could call that one Ethan. We gave them all named characters, but I don't remember any of their names.
Well, it was only 6 months ago. I mean, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the preview that I could grab from the screenshot here doesn't really give us more than just that and your little space shuttle guy up here at the top. But
we had to build on a tree. Our first challenge, I had to build on a tree 10 hours, which was overwhelming for our first challenge. But
that was a bit short.
But you
No.
start.
You say overwhelming for your first challenge, but you are coming into it totally fresh. I have zero sympathy.
Yeah. And you guys came in out of the gate like, gangbusters. I mean, when
Yeah, I was like,
when they popped yours up first, I was like, holy cow, the boys came out on, pulled all the stops out from the very get-go. I was impressed. I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. So it's a little awkward to have somebody on here while we're critiquing, because usually we're pretty much
Dana,
Moto has told us that we're a little too harsh and a little stern when we're critiquing the builds. But I gotta hand it to you guys, and I don't know if you guys were paying attention to other things in the past, but going brick built figures, right there. You had me with brick built figures instead of using minifigures. So props for that.
I think it's interesting also that you guys built literally on top of the tree. They're technically the tree
Topper.
Because a lot of the rest of the teams built around the trunk or around the branches or whatever, and you guys are just like, we're just going right on top of the tree. So I think that sets it apart a bit, and it also gets it a little more out and visible instead of hugging the trunk. So that might have helped a bit with the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Hugging the trunk. That's a technique.
Well, that's what the kids call it.
It's like, I was so stressed out that rocket was like shaking so bad. I was like, oh, don't fall.
Is it just set with just gravity?
Yeah.
Just placed on there?
It almost looks like, I know you're here, but it almost looks like there's a piece of darkness underneath that bush area. Like, is it?
Oh yeah, there's bricks on the left.
Yeah, is it kind of locked in underneath too?
Ethan, how is that connected? Ethan? Oh.
Sorry,
Okay.
y'all been really glitchy. So.
Can you guys hear me?
What was it?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
We're just trying to figure out how you attached the rocket to the tree.
How is it? The rocket connected to the tree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a little. I think Dom did this part, but he made a little clamp. You can see at the bottom, and it kind of loops all the way around to the top, kind of like a hook, which kind of that kept it really sturdy. A lot more sturdy than just setting it on the top.
Yeah. That's I like it.
Yeah.
Resourceful. It's good.
Yeah. Did they complain at all about not using every branch? Because I noticed
one thing that
Mhm.
It doesn't show was I wanted the rocket on that bottom left branch, and Dom wanted to be the tallest tree, so that was a little bit of debacle. Dumb one.
Well, and I think it helps the presentation that you have that, right up on top of the tree, because, like I said, a whole lot of the other teams decided to make things that balanced on the branches or sort of wrapped around the trunk or that sort of thing. So getting it right up on top is, definitely eye-catching.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, was it your team that actually did the Haney stuff, or that was the other? Yeah, it was. Okay, I thought it was you guys. I thought that was ingenious too, but
that's perfect.
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, let's move forward in the. So Steven had theirs. They did a little bit of both. They had some stuff wrapped around the trunk with platforms, but they also had some stuff out on the tufts of
branches,
tree bits or whatever. I mean, I don't know what to call it.
Tree boughs.
The boughs, as it were. Yeah. But to Dana's point, these guys went with minifigure scale stuff, which from a distance doesn't catch your eye as much as the brick built characters do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this build, except it's there's one thing, and this is where the criticism pops up. This is old gray bricks, Greg. Welcome to old gray bricks. But I would have loved like a real hook, like some big flashy thingamajiggy or whatever it would be, to really catch my eye and hold it, because there's nowhere for my eye to hang out except for the green in the middle.
Yep.
And it's pretty
What
small.
you
Like
need
the platforms are all quite
Steven,
small. Yeah.
as the great Walt Disney called it, a weenie.
What?
That's what Walt Disney called the castle at the end of the main street. He called it the weenie that attracted guests' eye to draw them down the main street. And so what you're talking about is
There you go. That's a new one. I've never heard of that.
it needs a weenie to catch people's eye to like be the centerpiece.
That sounds like it could have got awkward if you were talking at Walt and he started talking about his weenie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just saying.
It just makes me think about a guy in high school who used to draw weenies on everything, and just
Oh my word.
who knew that he was ahead of his time or was following the greatness of Walt. So
One of the teams got called out later in the show about having a lot of brown on their model. Now these guys do have a lot of color.
Yeah, John
Right.
and Xavier later.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I was surprised. Like I didn't really think about it until I saw this afterwards. I'm like, they have a lot of brown underneath, but I guess because they have those pops of color, they didn't get called out on it. But
Well, and they also on this one they used the brown as support structure,
yeah, this is true too.
which
It's
kind
meant
of
to disappear. It's meant to hide away.
Yeah,
Right.
it camouflages the support structure so the colored platforms stand out, and I think that works okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's divided nicely. You know,
Mhm.
the color and the disappearing color meant to blend into the tree.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Pretty decent build.
Go to the next one. The girls rock. So
This is a fun one.
this was fun. It kind of, it looks like a tree has basically grown up through a pirate ship
Mm.
with the, the girls, the rockin' girls party going on there. It's fun. It's whimsical. I feel like the sails could have used a little shape to them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. that
There's
was
a
actually
tiny
brought
bit
up.
of shape,
Yeah.
but you can't see it. It's
Only in
yeah.
the top one though.
Yeah, it was,
The bottom one
Which
is
is top.
flat. Yeah.
okay.
and
Interesting.
I disagreed with Jamie and Amy where they were saying like they wish that the boat had a more boat shape to it.
Mhm.
I think with the fact that they used standard bricks, I thought it looked very boatish.
Not bad.
Yeah. So
But it was all 2x2, like indents of 2x2 instead of 1x. I think
Yeah.
if they'd done 1x1 indents along it, it probably would have looked a lot more.
And I'll bet the brick pit didn't have an option for that. Is that right?
Purple
Yeah.
was not popular.
I knew it.
Okay.
So it's a risk to grab a color like that, but no one else in the room had purple. So that's
Yeah.
it's smart but dangerous at the same time.
Hmm.
I agree, Dana. I like the shape.
and I like the fact that they did all the ropes and the moorings and stuff like that. It
Yeah.
gave a real good ship feel to it hanging out in the tree. So it was cool.
And the mast is like just perfect. Like it,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It all makes sense. It's a fun. You got gold. The minifigs work here too, because the ship looks bigger.
Correct.
Yeah.
It draws it. The minifigures don't detract from the ship itself. They are the little ornaments on this tree, and for this one it works.
Now, it's funny because actually my 7 siblings and I growing up, we had a tree on the farm that we pretended was a pirate ship. And so we would literally play, pirates in a tree, right? And
Perfect.
I will say one thing, though, being an active duty Coast Guard guy that I will never be able to get over on this model is the fact that the helm is at the bow.
Where is at the front?
Oh, yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah, little nautical faux pas, but
Liz, we had such good things to say, and now it's ruined. Oh no!
There's a helm at the bow. You're like, oh
No, it's ruined. It's all over. Throw it out. This team should have went home.
So, I mean, despite the
nautical faux pas.
helm front, it does put it where you can see it. So
Yeah.
True. Well, I think this is a nice build. It's lots of fun colors. It's really good.
It's a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fiction and friction. So these guys did the theme of books,
Mhm.
that have different sort of adventures kind of sitting on them or coming out of them.
Oh, and Will Arnett bumped into this model on camera, didn't he?
He
I
almost
saw that.
green.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, so Ethan and Dom's, they actually basically had like beams that were running down into each of those bows, right? So there's like the flat platform on top, and then there's like, you know, I don't know, as Technic beams or something like that were actually sticking down into the branches. So there was like some degree of stability. Austin and Justin did not. Their books were literally just balanced on the boughs of the tree. So then, like, when Will knocked it, you're like, that could have gone so badly.
Wow.
What's cool about this challenge is everyone had a different tree. Like it was, none of the trees were the same. Everything was different.
When I saw these trees at first, I was like, I've never seen trees like this. Like, maybe that's because I'm up in northern inland Canada, but our trees don't look like that.
Well,
They're more green.
they're almost like bonsai trees on steroids.
Yeah.
So,
I'm assuming they were probably trimmed to look like that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd been trimmed,
So
I wish I could tell you, but
this one didn't. This one to me was kind of bland-ish.
Yeah.
But the saving grace was that they did a great job on the books.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it wasn't a, hey, you did a great job on the books. The one book being open to kind of give that feel of the adventures coming out of the book. But after that, again, there's nothing drawing me in on this one.
Oh, I think I know why. There's hardly any minifigures or characters of any kind.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of nice structure, but nothing's no energy, nothing's happening.
Right.
And if this is actually the front, one of those scenes is behind a bush or behind part of the tree, so you can't see. I think it's a rocket, but you can't really tell.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you always got to trim the bush so you can see the rocket better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Dana.
I'm not gonna lie, this one, I actually thought this. No offense, Austin and Justin, but it felt very Ethan and Dom to me. You know? And these guys were building beside each other, and I was looking over at it, and I was like, "Are they just all building the same thing?"
They were next to us.
They were, yeah, they were right beside each other. And Ethan and Dom definitely started. From my memory, I could be wrong in this, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ethan. You guys definitely started kind of like getting your structure and stuff up earlier. And so then when Austin and Justin, it was kind of like, all right, the greatest form of flattery. But look, I mean, after you saw episode 3, clearly we can all come up with our own ideas and end up making the same thing. So
yeah, man, episode 3 was so hard. I'm surprised we passed that one.
Ethan, I'm just curious. Would you guys have built something in a town with a gas station?
Oh no! Yeah, there's like 5 gas stations.
Oh my god!
That was a bit of an oversight on the challenge team part.
I did do episode 1. I built a spaceship. It's a camera spaceship.
That's pretty cool.
Doesn't count though.
It doesn't. Oh
no.
Yeah,
but
it
at least
doesn't.
he can actually show his as his own because he owns that one and Fox doesn't. So.
And for the people that say you skipped the first 3 episodes, I did the first one.
Good for you. Good for you.
Should we go to the next one?
Yeah. Moving on.
I smiled when I saw this one because originally I thought that was their last name, and then as soon as they said Hagelslag, I was like, "Oh, they're Dutch." Okay, because I'm Dutch too, and so is Dana. Actually, now that I think about it.
Actually, I'm Norwegian.
Oh,
But
well,
still good.
I'm like 75% Dutch. My mom is 100% Dutch.
There you go.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of this. I don't think the audience would have really got it unless you're Dutch.
I got it.
Because of the Dutch candy references and everything.
The breakfast sandwiches of goodness, yes.
Yeah.
The colors too, the blue and white. That's a very Dutch thing.
Oh, that is
very all their pottery, all their wooden shoes, paint them blue and white.
All the plates that are the white pottery with the blue flowers and everything.
Instantly recognizable.
What did it for me for this one? And I granted you have to open the house to get it.
Yeah,
but it was when they opened the door or when they opened the front of the house, it was like, okay, you got me on this one. That's what did it. But had they not opened the door on the house, I would have been like, but yeah, that was their hook, was opening the door.
Yeah, no, it's a great build, and they put really good details into it, which was definitely, I think, that was like the thing that helped tip them over. But I'm not gonna lie, if you just look at it from the outside, it does kind of feel just like a house in a tree.
It does.
Yeah,
And
there's
so
not too much else. Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like a tree house, which, you know, there was more than one team that struggled with that. In fact, there's at least 3 teams that the judges gave feedback to where, and I don't remember if they said that to Dave and Emily or not, but I think there's at least 3 teams where they were like, kind of feels like you just put a building in a tree, or you just built something in a tree, and that it wasn't really meant for the tree. And so, it's a great build though. And actually, I don't know if they showed us or not, but like, they built a whole fire escape system on the backside of it, and there's like a ladder that you can knock down, and it'll like roll all the way down as an emergency escape from the top level. And so
really,
it's a really nice little house build for sure.
And see that those are the things that we don't get. And you know, again, we always, this is the soapbox, you know, boilerplate stamp. We bet you about this, that if the show was an hour and a half, we could actually get to see more details of the builds.
Yeah.
But that's just the full rant. So, all right, I'm done.
Well,
one thing
if you guys all want to like put together a petition for it, I'll just see if they want me to direct season 4, and then you'll have somebody that knows what people want to see, and then you can just do 2 edits. You can do the TV edit, and then you can do the 8-ball edit, and that can be like an hour and a half, and we'll get into the nitty gritties.
People want the director's cut.
And then you can even like charge $1 to every 8-ball to buy the 8-ball edit, and we'll buy it, and then you know, it'll be great.
We want the Greg cut of Lego Masters.
Yes, please.
Exactly.
The Greg cut.
So they played it really safe on that one though too, because everything was in the center core pretty much. They had a few things on the edges, but they could have filled it in a lot better. Like,
and then on the flip side, we have this.
I know.
Which it's Swiss Family Robinson with
it's
with
Swiss Family
accessories.
Robinson,
This was a wow factor one. And the fact that, I mean, but personally, and normally they haven't focused on this as much as far as like what the story or what the connection is to the builders, but they let you guys tell it. And I think that's what hit it home for the audience was, you know, all the siblings, they've each got their own hut, and each hut. I mean, when you were going through and explain, I remember it was you or Brandon went through and was explaining, you know, the sister who was a workout fanatic with the salad, and then, you know,
that was good.
Gamer and everything. It was like everything was clicking as far as that feel and that theme for every hut. And that's what did it for me on this one. So,
this is like the ultimate treehouse. I'm surprised it wasn't in the top. I'm surprised it didn't win.
Personality.
So here's the thing though, and this is just completely missed out in the edit, which I was really bummed by. So, you know, we designed all these little pods, and then we're hanging all of them. So we're literally building this entire thing, like hanging from the branches in the trees. So doing the hanging theme was nice. We're the only people that did something like that. So, you know, to stand out in the room. And then that center one actually has a combination. All right. So the way we grew up as kids, because there was 8 of us, right, is we all had assigned colors. So each of those huts represents the children's assigned colors. So that way, like, our parents knew whose plate was whose and whose mud boots were whose. And, you know, so you couldn't argue. You'd be like, that's yellow. That's mine. Why are you touching my yellow cup, Heather? You know,
what color was yours, Greg?
Yellow, yeah.
Yellow. There you go. Yellow.
So like everyone's personality, like interests, and their color is represented in the hut, and then the center building is a combination of all the colors, in the detailing of the walls, and then there's mini sculpts on all of the huts, and a couple of them I was really sad about they got missed. The horse head got shown, which I was really proud of, and the game controller, and there's a raccoon hanging on the outside of mine, which you kind of saw the side of him. But maybe the best sculpt on this whole thing is I built a minifig scale grand piano that's hanging off the side of my younger sister Julia's hut, and she's playing it like off the side of the hut. And it's an awesome sculpt, and it literally never ended up in the episode. Like, and that was one that Jamie he's like, this is really good. And I was like, sweet. And then he's like, and then the thing was, I cranked all the mini sculpts out like within the last 2 hours. I did them all in like 90 minutes because they came over and they're like, make sure that you're really pushing the personality aspect of this. And so I was like, all right, like I got to do more. And so I was cranking them out. To Ampanda's question, to Adam's question, it is all Lego chain. And
interesting.
And I'm surprised no one else thought about that. Like hanging stuff off the tree. It's like that's what you do on a Christmas tree, right? Like
But you did both. You have a really large building with white in the center, well, nicely supported, and then you have all the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's like a sun with rays going off the edge. It works great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all I have to say is, wow, like 8 kids. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think we kind of like saved ourselves from imitation, because one thing that Brendan and I were very fast at on the show was like getting things started. And so we would like spin up really quick. And so it was not very long before like we started hanging pods, and then other people are looking around and then they're like, oh, that's a really good idea. Well, now Greg and Brendan are doing it. I guess I'm not doing it. So I feel like in some ways,
get to the good ideas first.
Yeah, for sure. People are like,
true.
well, now it's just gonna look like I'm copying,
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, didn't you like in your presentation? Didn't you like shake it and all the things like stay? That's cool.
Yep.
That's one thing that I remember.
Yep, we showed them. We're like, hey, like this is all like really sturdy, by the way. And I literally just grabbed the top of the tree and shook it back and forth.
Was the challenge not based on the strength? Was it not based on the strength of the build?
Yep, sure wasn't.
Oh.
Next week they're going to put them on the bowl though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven's not sore.
Why couldn't there be more of that? Oh, I have thoughts on this, but I got to use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Well, okay.
Hold it, man. Hold it. No.
While you're in there, I mean, this is an idea that they did talk about how this is an idea that they didn't have enough time for because they had their difficulty with getting their idea and getting upset, and that the reality TV kind of spent a little too much time on the whole getting upset part and the having a cry about it and stuff. And it's like, okay, we don't need to belabor that. We just talk about the Lego. And
but what confused me was that they said something like, or the offhand comment is that they were able to, what they show you, they threw together in like 4 hours.
That is correct.
So does that mean that Michelle was just missing for like several hours?
She was offset for a while, yeah. But on top of that, they honestly didn't really play it up in the episode, guys. I mean, they were having a rough go. Like everyone has bad days on the show, but they were having a rough go, and they had one idea that they started, and then they ended up dismantling at some point. And then, Michelle was she was offset for a while, and so that it really sucked, because like you already seen like the Latinas had some awesome ideas, like their Dia de los Muertos bull rider was so cool, and so
very memorable.
It would have been really cool to see. And Amy brings this up, right? She talks about like you basically this in 4 hours, and it's like it's pretty good for 4 hours, right? But it would have been nice if they could have brought like the full force of 9 or 9.5 hours of building to this based off an idea. Right. But yeah, that's accurate. I mean, it was a tough day for them, and they really did do it in about 4 hours.
So it was having so basically they were starting all over again multiple times.
Yeah.
So that's why whatever they finally came up with at the end is what they did in the 4 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wish that they took into account their previous builds more to say, hey, you had a rough time. We get it. Because their last like 3 builds I thought were really good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought this one was pretty good as well, except for the lack of other stuff that they could have done to it. But I think these guys were the only ones that actually wrapped Lego around the tree going up.
Yeah.
Like that. And it was green, so it looked like it was part of the tree. And I thought it was a really good idea. So I was bummed when they got sent home, I have to admit. So
I'm gonna jump on a soapbox just for a second here. So like there are a lot of like competitions. I don't know. The CrossFit Games is something that I know is an example of this, where there's a bunch of different events in the whole games, right? But like you get points for certain events, and you win by your cumulative points, not by individual competitions, right? So like if you took every team at the beginning when you still had 12 teams, then 13 teams. Anyways, when you had 12 teams, and then it was like if you won, it was worth like 10 points plus 1 or something. If you were in the top 2, it was going to automatically be 9 points, and then everyone would be ranked. Like if you're somewhere in the middle, you're going to be like a 5 or a 6 or whatever, right? And then if you're in the bottom 2, like it's worth some low score, and then obviously one of those people go home. And then that way you could retain better builders throughout the show, because it is literally every single challenge is its own thing. So if you have one bad day, even if you're a good team, that's it. You're gone. Yeah. Right. And it's so like, man, that's a bummer, because you're losing teams who really have more skill than this. And like Drew and Miranda are the perfect, really sad example of that, of like, they just, they like slipped at the start, but Drew's an epic builder. Nobody gets to see that now. Right. Yeah. So I think that's what happened, is like they had one bad day, but they definitely have the skill. And if things were judged based on cumulative performance, then I don't think that they would have gone home in that episode. But
we don't run the show. You bring up the good point, and that's what I mean. I know that they're always trying to create the reality TV out of it, but I was really disappointed to see that they sent somebody home the first episode. I know that they did the whole thing where they're bringing in Ethan and Dom in the middle, but I can't believe, every season, everybody just really wasn't sure what they were. I mean, half the teams didn't know what they were doing that first build. So they needed to get that practice run to really get an idea of where they're going, what they're doing. And here it was like, well, nope, you made a mistake. You're going home. And it was like, ouch. So yeah, that hurt. That kind of hurt. That hurt.
And we've seen builders at the beginning who did not look very impressive, really take it to the next level and do some very nice work.
Right.
And this is one that really breaks my heart. This is a really, if I did the tree competition, this is something kind of like what I would have done. I would have gone straight for the organic. I would have done the mushrooms. I would have done the fairies. We even talked about doing fairies in our hanging brick challenge.
Yeah.
And it's just a really sweet, cool build. Like, I absolutely adore the colors. You have magenta, you have red, you have purple, which is perfect against the green.
Yeah.
And it's such a good contrast. You have that wrapping vine that distracts from that one stem that would look boring without it.
And it gives you your path to the end, right? Like,
but I understand the judges. The other branches aren't being used. Another mushroom right there. Another mushroom right there.
Yeah.
They would have done so well. And I have to admit,
if they had more time, once they realized their idea, and I think that we would have seen more. So
it's a very tragic build to go out on, but it's also be proud of what you did. This is a really cool.
Yeah.
I can tell that the top floor was basically empty. There was nothing up there except for that one house.
Yeah.
I get it. But yeah, I also have to admit, I've not felt more anxiety from the show than that moment when they were breaking down.
Yeah.
Because that was my biggest fear on season 2. I'll be quick. That's what you're afraid of mostly. Like, just don't panic. Just breathe. Even if you're a tightly wound person naturally, or you're really tense, just keep breathing. Don't go under. Just keep your head on. That's all you have to do. Just keep your head on, and everything's going to be okay. And to see that visualize what happens when you don't have your head on was like my nightmare being realized. It was really hard to watch. I was yelling at the TV like, guys, you can do it. I'm almost teared up a little bit just talking about it. It was really, really, really hard to watch, and I'm really sorry to see them go because I love their skeleton. It was so good.
Yeah.
The floppy arms.
Yeah.
I agree. I wanted to see them go further. The point system, maybe, but it hurts.
Yeah.
It really hurts. I'll just say that.
The pandas, so cute. At least the main panda. They didn't really focus in on any of the smaller ones.
The barrel pandas?
Yeah.
They showed them a little bit, but again, this is brick built characters, which that's usually a pleaser with the judges. Is those larger characters to catch your eye, and they showed this panda more a couple of times. It was the one hanging with the kid hanging off the balloon.
That's pretty funny.
Kind of balloon.
Got some Winnie the Pooh vibes there.
And then there was panda hanging out down here with the character. There's one over. Is this a waterfall here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's maybe one over here in the waterfall. It would have been nice to see a little more of the pandas. Like we got a couple of glimpses, but not really.
Mhm.
And the ding I have for this one is it looks like a red barn just a red barn slapped in there. If they had done it, if they had given it more of a stylized, I mean, they did a little bit of the Japanese arch down below or the Oriental arch. If they had like stylized the building itself to have more of an Asian feel to it and left out that green base, I don't know. That's just my nitpick tweaks on it. Something I would have liked to see different.
I think the base is light gray.
Maybe. I think it's green. The rest of the bases are green.
It has kind of a green edge, but it could. It was,
Yeah, that on the left there, that looks like green.
Gray on the edge.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, so I think it's gray underneath, and then it's what is that? Green. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you make a good point, but to be honest, I actually felt like in person it read better than it read on camera. Yeah. And so because I went over and I actually asked them if they were making the sushi restaurant. Like that's what I thought it was. So it definitely had those characteristics, but I think part of the problem, to your point, is like it's so hard when you go in there thinking about building something that's going to read well from the distance on TV. Because like when we go to conventions, you know what I mean? We all walk around and we get like 12 inches away from somebody's build, and you love like getting in there and checking out all those details. Oh yeah. And the judges like details too, but they're also interested in how that thing looks from 20 feet away. And like we don't look at our Lego models from 20 feet away. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of what happened here a little bit, is maybe Emily and Liam just a bit got caught in that trap of like it was really good when you got closer, but when you stepped back a little bit, I don't know that it read as well.
Yeah. And your biggest character is sleeping inside that building too, so it didn't catch the eye as much.
The Mama Panda was a great build, though.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
Yeah. And again, I'm being nitpicky because that's what we do with this. But I mean, that's the only fault I have with it, is that when you get up close to it and they showed it and it looked great for the details, but again, from a distance, you're like, all right, what's going on? And we've talked about this before, that building for competition is not the same as when you're building for a mock for a show, and it's two completely different muscles that you're having to work. So it is what it is.
And one more thing I just wanted to say, that they did show this team going up to Christine and Michelle to comfort them and stuff. And I'm pretty sure some of the other teams did as well, but they did focus on them coming up, and both of them were there trying to.
Could Emily be any more endearing
and wholesome?
Yeah, I mean, every episode she has literally been the mom. I mean,
it's amazing.
We actually called her our set mom.
She always reminded me to drink water.
Awesome. That's so nice.
Like, have you gone 9 hours in a build? Have you drank water? I'm like, no.
Hydrate. Gotta stay hydrated.
My favorite memory with Emily has nothing to do with actually being on the soundstage. So we had a lot of early mornings. I'm sure Steven's talked about that before. And one morning we were there like super early. It was before sunrise, and I felt like Brennan and I were having a particularly tough time at one point on one of our builds, and I was just sitting outside of the holding area and just like sitting on the concrete ramp watching the sun come up over the distant trees, which is a very soul nourishing experience, just watching. And Emily came out and just sat beside me on the concrete pad, and we just kind of like watched the sunrise in relative quiet. And that's actually probably my favorite memory from her. She just came out, and sat with me and was like, "Hey, you doing okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, I am. I'm good." And we watched the sunrise. Wow. So nothing to do with Lego, just
amazing.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So wonderful, man.
That's awesome. All right, I got to point this out. And has anyone considered the trees look like Dr. Seuss trees?
They do.
Not until you mentioned it.
They are Dr. Seuss trees.
They are Dr. Seuss trees. They totally are.
Well spotted, Mom.
Way to go, Mom. Way to go, Mom Erickson.
Thank you, Mom.
So true. So true.
That's so cool. I just noticed that. I can't unsee it. Yeah. What do you guys think of this build?
Okay. All right. So initially, I love the colored ladder.
Yeah.
That really draws the eye to it. But I wish they had gone with something other than the browns and the tans, because it's very after the ladder, it gets very muted.
Yeah.
And again, if they had gone with brick built figures that were bigger, but the details are great when you get in close to it, and the stories were fun and cool. But again, it's that balance that we keep talking about. So I won't jump on that broken record.
They did have a lot of different stories though, because I remember them saying like there's an alien landing on the thing, and other things were happening.
Wrestling arena.
Yeah, wasn't that that's this the one with the boxing ring up top?
I think so.
Yeah, it was just like that's not really a very concise or cohesive story, right? Like
it's a funhouse kind of.
Yeah.
I will mention really quick when they said I'm building the top half and they're building the bottom half.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's gonna make a disconnect. There's gonna be a big gap somewhere, and sure enough, it's in the middle. If they had made this to match the ladder, if those weren't tan, but if they were white with primary colors and green, I would have looked amazing.
Yeah.
And had this to be like the main body, but the brown immediately fights with the Rainbow Bridge thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that.
I think that cohesion is the biggest thing that this build is lacking. It's like 4 parts. It's one platform, it's a bridge, it's a tower, and it's another platform. And it doesn't really have, I'll call it like an ideological thrust. And what I mean by that is like sort of one direction that it's going, right? You think about like Liz and Aaron's pirate ship. It's very clear thematically what's going on there, right? Or Ethan and Dom's build, right? Like we have these
or the bookshelf thing,
or the books, right? Yeah. So there's Dave and Emily, right? Like it's all very Dutch, it's very candy, and so this definitely feels like more a conglomeration of pieces. And so they put a lot of personal story elements into it, which are great.
Yeah.
But the build as a whole, I think, lacked cohesion.
Yeah.
And also they didn't spread out on the limbs either. Like they basically stayed to the center core. I mean, I was thinking that, and also just a question. I've noticed pretty much every single episode, most people have done something personal to them. And I'm starting to think that maybe that's a requirement almost in some of these. The first episode definitely was, build something that describes you, but it seems like every episode afterwards, like Michelle and Christine come to mind just because they always had a Mexican theme, which makes sense because that's what they relate to. But it just seems, and I mean, you guys, Greg, this time you had your family all in the tree and stuff, right? So it just seems like it's more of a, hey, let's build what we know versus let's take a risk type thing or build.
Well, adds more emotion with a build,
I
guess, when you're presenting it.
Yeah.
Personalizing it,
Anyway,
but I disagree with I disagree though with the one point of build what you know, because in this, that's what you got to do is build what you know.
I guess too. But
now is not the time to experiment.
Unless you want to really impress the judges, then yes, go for it. But
I will throw one counterpoint out there though, which is that they actually really appreciate people taking big risks, and so. It's certainly a balancing act. Like, don't get into something you definitely don't know what you're doing on, right? Because it's going to bite you in the butt. Like, at the end of the day, you do need to deliver a finished product, of course. But if you if you do something that's risky, even if it doesn't quite pay off, as long as it doesn't totally fail, you actually will get a lot of points for that because they understand what it is to take big risks in this setting. And then if it at least works out reasonably well, I actually think that you get extra points for it as far as their judging is concerned. I think that you get favorable bias.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can see
but
that.
This is a safe build, which I think is probably part of that response.
The downward
on the flip side, we have this thing.
So I got to first, I mean, the details on this are great. But I was a little surprised that it's just a big red brick. I mean, while iconic as it is, the windows, the details are fantastic. I just felt like it's a big brick. And that I didn't agree with this one being on top, personally. So.
So it's hard. It's hard.
I thought it was a great build. The fact that they built around the tree. like completely. Like they've gone up through multiple limbs of this tree and basically
That is
designed
impressive. Yeah.
the brick.
Well, like the building techniques are great. The details again are great. I just felt like the big red brick was kind of a meh. You know, the details, the techniques, everything, all that's great. I don't know. Just
I mean,
red brick. I don't know.
If it was multiple bricks or something like that, that might have been even.
If they had broken it up,
a few 1x2s in there,
or even just multiple bricks in the tree.
Yeah, multiple bricks in the tree, or multiple bricks stacked, or plates and stuff to make it like it's some sort of structure, not just a brick. Like, you know how the Lego house looks, where it's multiple bricks.
Thinking about the Lego house,
yeah, that would have been a little more visually appealing than just a big red brick.
But it catches the eye too, right? Like that
it really does.
If you were to see all those out there, I think
but so does a I don't know, I'm not going to be crass, but you know, something that's just mediocre and bland can also be eye-catching because you're like, oh, look, it's just a big whatever. Yes, it's eye-catching, but I don't think it should have been the top because it just didn't feel like it grabbed attention more than just, oh, look, there's a big red brick in that tree.
So instead of Nick and Stacy, you think Greg's just because he's here? No, not just because he's
here.
No.
Actually, and this has nothing to do with it, but I was really impressed out of the gate with Ethan and Dom right out of the bat. So just that was my expectation when they made it the top two. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be Ethan and Dom.
Hey, Mark, can you zoom or Fleebnork? Would you be so kind as to zoom in on the very top branch in the middle of the three there?
Yeah, it's
that is a brick built branch.
That's a brick built branch.
And the bough is brick built as well.
And the leaves are brick built.
Up on the top?
So they added a whole other branch onto the tree.
So they added another branch.
Huh. I wonder if they actually showed that really.
Yeah.
That's when you finish an hour early and you're like, what do we do? Let's build a branch. No, I don't know.
Did they finish early?
I honestly
no, not really. They actually got criticized for that. Nick
for the
and
branch?
Stacey got criticized. Yep, Nick and Stacey got criticized for it because they said you built a branch that looks like a branch of the tree, which is like cool. I mean, nice skills, but it just looks like a branch of the tree.
I see that now.
You just added a branch to your tree, like
maybe that's why they didn't focus on
it. Yeah, I think that's why they didn't. And so there's actually a rocket ship blasting off from the branch that they built. But they could have put it in the actual bough of the tree on top. So I thought it was really cool. Whenever I saw it, I was like, "Dang, it looks so good! Like it really integrates really well." And the judges were like, basically, the judges said that they thought that it was a misdirection in terms of the use of time because they're like, you could have spent this time, having greater visual impact in other parts of your build, but you completely disguised something that you built out of Lego to look like the tree, which you already have. So,
Good point.
I will say though that as like a cohesive visual whole, this was the most appealing thing. You just you would step back and look at it and you're like, dang, that looks really nice. Like as a
it's iconic.
Yes, as a whole image with their like yellow hanging stars and everything, it was very pleasing to look at.
I mean, Dana, I get your criticisms, I really do, but it is it's hard because I would want more bricks and stuff like that to up it, but I have to agree with the judges. Like it does catch your eye really quickly, and then it also retains your attention with the good stories. But you're right, a few more branches spread out would have really set it home for me. There wouldn't have been any confusion.
Yeah. I mean, again, the brick, it's great. It's iconic. I just wanted to see more than just one brick. So,
fair enough.
I think that's fair.
So that was the last of the builds to look over. But
whoa. Come on. Is he okay? Your house flipped over.
Cord.
It's Lego. It goes back together.
That's true. Lego Apple.
So yeah, we are just over an hour. So if anybody has any last thoughts or anything, otherwise we're gonna wrap it up.
Well, this episode Go ahead, Ethan.
Did y'all see the little preview to the next episode?
That was exactly where I was going to go. So, Ethan, you and Dom go home next week. Is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Oh no.
You'll just have to wait and see.
Smart kid.
If we can tell anything from the teaser for next week, they're not the only team that had
a problem
in their dog park. So
the dog had an accident.
I am actually looking forward to the next episode just because while outlandish and weird as it's going to be, I think the surrealism is gonna make it entertaining. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I would love to hear you guys talking about the episode after next week, because there are some requirements in relation to that episode which I cannot yet reveal, but which significantly increased the complexity in terms of the requirements for the build. And
so you're saying you're going to come back and talk to us in 2 weeks for that episode?
Maybe I will. Maybe.
2 weeks if we don't have any more baseball games.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
People even watch that? What is
no?
I don't like baseball anymore.
Baseball's the worst.
Well, but the worst part is that I had to sit there and watch 40 minutes of The Masked Singer before.
You're not wrong. Oh my goodness.
By the way. Sorry to interrupt, but you can watch. Here's what happened. I had a text from a friend who said last night it was around 9:15. He texted me, episode 4 is on Tubi and playing for free. So I watched it on time. I skipped The Masked Singer completely. So
unbelievable.
if it happens again, you guys know what to do. Watch on
Tubi.
Tubi, you'll save the day.
Yeah.
Did we actually say did the right person win? Because
we did not discuss whether I said that I didn't feel that the right person won. So I chimed in and made my 2 cents.
I honestly, I feel like they sent the wrong team home.
The wrong person home. Yeah.
Because in spite of Christina Michelle's build not being as much as it could have been, it made good use of color and was interesting to look at what there was of it.
Yeah.
Interesting to look at. And I felt that John Xavier's build was larger but more bland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Again, like Steven and has told us before that we can't see everything the judges see. So, you know.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, we should wrap it up because we're at over an hour now. But thank you to everybody for joining us. Ethan, Greg, Steven, thank you for joining us. And we will be back next week to talk about next week's episode. All of you guys are welcome to join us for next week as well. And we will see what kind of exciting things happen with the dog themed show. And Fazoom's not here with us this evening, but as he would say, be awesome and build awesome and do something kind to your neighbor. And everybody have a great week. And we will see you Monday for our Messy Monday wide open chat, anything goes show. Everybody have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.